Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're well. Today I got for you guys a Parfums de Marly clone guide. So these are fragrances that smell similar to very popular Parfums de Marly fragrances, but they're cheaper. That's pretty much it. And there are a lot of Parfums de Marly clones out there, so I can't cover all of them in today's video. I might do a follow-up one in the future with even more that I don't talk about here today. But feel free to leave in the comments other popular or very well done clones or alternatives to PDM fragrances that I don't talk about, so other people can look through there and maybe find out about ones they didn't know about. Woo! That was a lot. A lot to say right there in one breath. All the fragrances I share with you guys here today are going to be linked in the description, so feel free to check them out there. Let's jump straight into it. We're gonna do Carlisle first. Parfums de Marly Carlisle. A little bit of an expensive boy. Actually, most PDM fragrance is pretty expensive. Used to be you could find them for less consistently at discounters, but nowadays, not quite as much. Carlisle is similar in some ways to Mancera's Red Tobacco, kind of in that overarching family style, also somewhat similar to Mystery Tobacco from Carolina Herrera. An extremely classy fragrance, very well done, very smooth, great performance, lasts forever, projects heavily, big compliment puller as well, and known for a nice, very warm, spicy, great for this time of year, fall and winter. And for me, the best alternative to this one is Perlador, Barouge Perlador, which is actually an offshoot or a sub-brand, whatever you want to call it, of Dumont Paris. And this is actually the first fragrance that I ever smelled from them. It's a clone that's extremely well done, quality really nice, performance great, and a little pressurized atomizer. Or is that semi-pressurized? You be the judge. Ooh, I can see it just floating through the air. Yeah, great. Nice little touch of sweetness in this one off the top. And if you're looking for a cheaper alternative to Carlisle, you should check this one out. Before we hop to the next fragrance, guys, here are some codes that you can use to save yourself money across a bunch of different websites, including discount codes for the perfume box, where you'll find a lot of the stuff that I talked to you about here today. If it's not there, maybe at Fragflex or JOMASHOP, and I have codes for those as well. So there are some codes you can use to save yourself a little money. Let's keep it moving. Up next, Perseus. This one has a really nice citrusy opening, very fresh off the top, and then has a modern woody dry down, extremely classy from open to finish. I like it a lot. I think it's a really nice fragrance, extremely easy to wear, great versatility. Where this one hasn't been out that long, there's not a whole heck of a lot in terms of clones available for this one, but this just dropped and it's a Perseus clone. It's called Dynasty and it's by Luciano. It's part of their Titan collection. Titan. Attack on Titan? I don't know. But yeah, Dynasty by Luciano is a Perseus alternative. Now, I will say that I think that this is one of those times where it's not exactly spot on. I know what you may say, it's Perseus with a twist, and that's true. But it has one aspect that I'm not in love with. So I'm gonna spray these on side by side to make sure I'm not going completely insane. The overall idea is there. It's got that citrus, it's fresh, clean, bright, it has that woody aspect, all of that. The main issue I have with it, and it's noticeable smelling it by itself, this is not one of those deals where you have to go, because sometimes with clone fragrances, you spray it on by itself and you think, oh, that's spot on. And then you have to spray on the original and go back and forth and then go, oh, okay, I get a couple differences here and there. You can tell with this one. And what it is the woods. The woods. With this one, somehow, some way, they have almost like a varnish aspect to them. So when you smell it, the woody aspect, varnish is what comes to my mind. You could also say like a hint of petrol, like gasoline, like a tiny bit of gasoline on top of fresh woods. And this Perseus does not have that. So while this is a Perseus clone, and it does get most of it right, that one aspect to me kind of doesn't make it anywhere near as nice. I would probably suggest just Terre d'Hermès Eau Givrée. Obviously, this is not a clone of Perseus, but it's similar. It does similar things, it comes across in a similar way, and overall, I would much prefer to wear this over this. But do be aware that this is out there, and if you want to take a swing on it and see if it works a little bit better for you, knock yourselves out. Let's see which one next. Greenley, PDM Greenley. Obviously a very green fragrance, another one that's very fresh, has a good amount of sweetness. It's been compared at times to smelling similar to apple shampoo, but in a much more pleasant way than that may come across. Also has a nice bergamot off the top, some petitgrain as well. Very easy wearing fragrance, big compliment puller. And for this one, you gotta get this, Etheric Straight. This is from French Avenue, which is part of Fragrance World. And Etheric Straight absolutely crushes. And this one, I have to say, I say this like every time, just in case one of you out there, if this helps one of you out there. When I first got Etheric Straight and I smelled it for the first time, I thought it was very weak. It didn't come across much at all. Like it smelled like Molecule 01 or something. I got it in, opened it up, gave it a spray just like that. Nothing. And I thought to myself, that is terrible. Like legitimately terrible. Let it sit for a little while, and I was legitimately gonna take that and just toss it to the back of some shelf somewhere and forget it ever existed. And I sprayed it on a tester strip before I did, and it was like the fragrance gremlin snuck into my house overnight, dumped out whatever was in there and filled it back up with the proper thing, because it actually smelled like something. It smelled like Greenley, and it is dang close. Like this is really good. So this is one of those circumstances where if you're looking for a Greenley clone or alternative, that's the one. It's gonna be real tough for anybody to supplant that one. I mean, it could get close to it, you know, the same thing maybe, but I don't know that you're gonna find anything better. Next up, Parfums de Marly PERCIVAL, and this one doesn't really have a whole lot of clones out there as far as like the big boy brands go. Talking Lattafa, Armaf, HALTANE, Fragrance World, Dumont, brands like that. Not really. You can find maybe like Montaigne or Dua, a brand like that probably would have alternatives to this, but the one that I would suggest is actually Legend Blue from Montblanc. I know, it's like the Terre d'Hermes over here. It's not exactly a clone, but if you want something that smells really close to that, that's what I would suggest. And actually, that's been coming down in price. Yes, it's a new fragrance from this year, but you can already get it at discounters for way less than you're gonna pay to get this one. And that price is gonna keep dropping as time goes on. So probably next year, I know it's in the future, but next year, this is gonna be even cheaper. And I actually really love Legend Blue. I like it a lot. Very modern, fresh, clean, like water spritzed, a little bit sweet, nice compliment puller, super versatile. You could also go with the original Legend. That's gonna smell kind of similar to Percival, but between the original Legend and Legend Blue, if you were wanting something like this, I would suggest that. All right, this next one has a few different clones that I'm gonna feature, okay? It's Pegasus, Parfums de Marly Pegasus. First thing I could say is Hypnotic Poison from Dior. It's actually kind of similar to that, but I won't feature that one. First up is Nitro Blue. This is from Dumont, and it's a really, really well done clone to Pegasus, or alternative, whatever you want to call it, inspired by. Nitro Red is the one that gets all the hype. That's the one that gets talked about all the time, but this is a great alternative to that, and it actually has like a tinge more sweetness for me than Pegasus does, which I actually appreciate a lot. Pretty cheap too. Then you can't go wrong with Armaf Craze. This is the most well-known Pegasus clone, I would say. Been out for a long time, really cheap. Packaging, kind of cheap. I bought mine many years ago, and you know, it's just, yeah. One day I went to take the cap off and just the whole bottom part came off with it. So that's cool. Just sit that back on there. Nice, just rotates freely. So while this looks kind of cheap, it actually is a very well done clone of Pegasus. And for a long time, this was held up as like one of the best that Armaf had ever done as far as getting close to the OG. And then there's this one from HALTANE. This is Detour Noir Intense. I almost chucked the bottle just now. Tried to like rotate it and just... But to be fair, this is a little different because this is Pegasus exclusive. That's what this is a clone of. But I wanted to include it with Pegasus here since I wasn't including Pegasus exclusive as its own thing. I like this one a whole lot. I think it's really well done. For the price point, it's a steal. And all three of these clones actually do a really good job of getting close to Pegasus or Pegasus exclusive. Let's do ALTHAIR up next. This one, really sweet. Sweet, warm, sexy, very addictive. Very addictive. They put some stuff in here. I'm telling you, they put some illegal goods in here that make you just want to keep sniffing it. And that one I think has grown on me more than any other Parfums de Marly, because LAYTON I loved right away. Like I really loved LAYTON as soon as I smelled it. CARLISLE, really loved that one. ALTHAIR, when I first smelled it, kind of wishy-washy. I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't in love with it. But then as I wore it, Really, really, really good stuff. So I got a couple. The first one is another by Luciano in their Titan collection. And this one is called Bourbon. So Bourbon is ALTHAIR, and it's, again, not exactly ALTHAIR, but this one is better, to me anyway, than Dynasty is. So do a quick little spritz-a-rooney. Couple there, and 1, 2. Yeah, much better than Dynasty. The opening is just very slightly different with Bourbon. It's maybe not quite as rich, not quite as heavy. It's a little bit higher tinged on the sweetness, but really well done. Nice alternative. The other one is Liquid Brune, and this one is also French Avenue / Fragrance World. Both of these extremely well done, so you can't go wrong with either as far as ALTHAIR is concerned. I think Liquid Brune would be my choice between the two because this one has more of that richness to it. Yeah. Both smell great though. Can't go wrong with either of these. This one is gonna be a little bit cheaper, about $10 less than Liquid Brune, but both of these are gonna be way cheaper than this one. SEDLEY up next, very fresh, clean with a little green aspect to it. Perfect fragrance for spring and summer. Great compliment puller, great for daytime use, great for the office. Honestly, you can use it about anywhere. It's just one of those fragrances, you know. For that, just one, I would say this. Mahir Legacy, that's gonna be the one. The bottle, honestly, I think it's kind of ugly. I'm not a big fan of the bottle. It's very odd, but a lot of people love it. A lot of people think it looks unique. They think it looks high end, and you know, it is different. It is different. I'm not sure what it looks like other than a horse head. That though is gonna get you really close to SEDLEY, and you can find that pretty much anywhere. It's one of those ones that's pretty easy to pin down at about any discounter, so wherever you like to shop, they should probably have this one. Performance is solid on it, quality is good, so nothing bad about this. This isn't one of those ones where you have to say, oh, you know, it's like this, but you know, change that and change this. No, it's really good. So SEDLEY, Mahir Legacy. Let's see, we got 3 more, and all 3 of these have 2 options each. Let's do the next one. This is a big boy. It's LAYTON, the most popular Parfums de Marly fragrance. That one, I love it. I know some people, because of its popularity or just because they don't like the designer aspects of it, how it comes across, a little bit like a designer fragrance done with niche quality. You know, it'll take some shots from time to time, but I love the way it smells. The OG clone of that is Detour Noir from ALTHAIR, and frankly, it's a really crazy good clone for the price, because that's a cheapie. That is a cheap clone, and at times you've been able to find this, Detour Noir, for like 20 bucks. So you're not gonna find anything much cheaper than that. For some people, the opening of this one is a little bit rough compared to the opening of LAYTON. I think it smells fine though, and it is one of those things where with clone fragrances, maceration, you know, let it sit for like a week or 2, it kind of smooths out a little bit. If you have a little more money to spend, I would get this. This is North Stag Deux or 2. This one's from Paris Corner, and it smells great. Quality here, really good. And this is not that much more expensive. I think it's like 35 bucks at JOMASHOP, I think it is. So it's not like, you know, 3, 4, 5 times more expensive than Detour Noir. It's just a little bit more. Performance is really good. Quality, great on that one. You don't have to worry about the opening or anything with this either. Paris Corner is a little hit or miss. Sometimes their clone fragrances are not spot on. They're not great. Other times they crush it. With that one, they crushed it. All right, HALTANE up next, and we got 2 for this one. It's another Titan collection fragrance by Luciano. Legacy. What will your legacy be? Yeah, it's green, so green. This one's really good. This one's well done. I think maybe if I were ranking these out, as far as like these 3 in the Titan collection, I would put, as far as my own preference, Dynasty 3rd. I don't know, these 2 may be tied because it's not like a similar fragrance style. Let me just give it one more whiff. Let's go. Psst, psst. It's pretty good. I don't know, I think I just put Dynasty 3rd, and then I'll just put these other 2 above it. Sorry, bud. So anyway, this is a clone of that. Luciano, more well known for their Louis Vuitton clones. They got a lot of Louis Vuitton clones. So I'm guessing that their Titan collection is gonna be all PDM, because they launched these 3 at the same time on Fragrance Buy. They had like a big banner like, oh, Luciano does it again, and they had these 3. So I'm guessing they're gonna have more come out as time goes, and they're gonna be like cheaper alternatives to PDM, but that's what this is. The other one, Detour Eco by ALTHAIR. Also a very nice alternative to the PDM, and check out that color scheme. This one has a little more punch, a little more pop off the top compared to Mr. Legacy over here. This one also slightly more animalic, than Legacy. Between the two, I'd probably go Detour Eco, but both are nice alternatives to this one and probably gonna be your best bet at this point, unless you wanted to go with like Oud for Glory. Technically, Oud for Glory is a clone of Oud for Greatness, but Oud for Greatness kind of similar to this one, so that's also an option. LAYTON EXCLUSIF is last up, which is basically a darker, more animalic, bolder version of the original LAYTON. And for that, got this one, Detour Noir Exclusive, which is a very well done clone, actually. To me, it kind of sits between LAYTON and LAYTON Exclusive. And if I were gonna choose just one between Detour Noir or this one, like if I were gonna pick just one to own, I'd rather have this one. It's not quite as dark as LAYTON Exclusive, not that that's a super dark fragrance, but like I said, kind of in between the two LAYTONs, but really well done, great quality. And then there's French Avenue Mirage Absolute. And this one gets a little bit closer to LAYTON Exclusive for me than the Haramain. So if I were going for like the closest clone or alternative to this one between these two, I would take this. Great quality, really nice scent. Might be a little bit more expensive than this, depending on where you're looking, but the quality is great, like I said, and it smells awesome, really close. So there we go, guys. There are some clones, some alternatives to 10 different PDMs. Like I said, there's so many other ones out there, and I'll cover some of those in a future video. I work in some different PDMs and also some clones of some of these that I didn't feature here today. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.